If you spend any time talking to me about Resident Evil on Twitch, you'll know that Resident Evil 2 for the PlayStation 1 is one of my favorite Resident Evil games of all time. It was one of my first horror games and my very first Resident Evil. Kind of shocking to learn that wasn't the game we were originally supposed to have. Like I said, I absolutely love this game, and when I play it, I play as Claire. I actually don't like Leon at all. The thing is, originally we weren't supposed to have that option, as Claire was not in the original Resident Evil 2 that was being made. After the release of Resident Evil, Capcom really wanted to make sure they capitalized on the new subgenre they helped create. They went right away and started this prototype. As soon as Resident Evil was released, unfortunately, it was abandoned in 1997. Talked about that in our previous Resident Evil video. What makes this super crazy, this wasn't even some build that was just behind the scenes that no one saw, but they really went out of their way to make sure people saw images and videos of the prototype game. So my biggest question is, what the hell happened? I can't verify this information. All I've been able to see is some videos online and some random stuff on websites, but according to them, Shinji Mikami never really wanted to make a giant franchise. This was supposed to be it. After some significant process, the team was actually told to scrap what they had and start rewriting the entire scenario, changing an awful lot of what they had. They practically had to start at square one. So one of the big things I want to talk about is what was cut and what was saved. Even though I'll never understand this, people seem to really love Leon, and he was also in the prototype. A few things were changed. The biggest one was that he wasn't just arriving on his first day, he was already there defending the station. Marvin, the ill-fated cop that we see in the beginning of Leon's campaign, is still there, although in the prototype he had a much bigger part. Another character I can't stand personally, although everyone seems to really be a fan for some reason, Ada Wong is in the game, but she plays more of a science role instead of a espionage spy role. Either way, I'm still a fan. Other big name characters are still in the game as well. You have Sherry, William, Annette, and Chief Irons all make appearances, although their roles are slightly changed. Chief Irons wasn't a complete douche. Annette was supposed to be infected by the virus, and Birkin was supposed to be way more like the Nemesis. The other playable character was actually not Claire, but Elza Walker, a motocross racer. She ended up getting cut, and instead we end up with Claire Redfield. Several really interesting monsters were cut. I'm kind of glad they're gone, but one was an infected gorilla, and there's also a Spider-Man kind of monster.
No, God! No, God, please, no!
The police station that we came to know is completely different. In the one that came out, it was this old museum that got converted, while in the prototype, it was actually very modern and something that we would expect most police stations to be. One of the things I think is super cool is that in the retail release, we are working our way into the police station and then our way out. In this version, we are just there, which I think this kind of takes away a little bit from the cool storyline. So 1997 happened, Resident Evil 1.5 was scrapped. Resident Evil 2 was made.
What happened?
By the time I noticed something was wrong, the entire city was infested with zombies.
The game was directed by Hideki Kamiya and was produced by Shinji Mikami. Released in January 1998. was initially just released on the PlayStation 2, but ports were made for a lot of other systems, including Windows, Nintendo 64, and later on the GameCube. This ended up being the version that old school fans have come to know and love. Just like the first game, you can pick between two different characters. Instead of having Chris and Jill, we have Leon and Claire. Their campaigns interact with each other in several spots and creates this larger world-building narrative. We have Leon, the rookie cop, first day on the job, and Claire, who's just searching for her brother Chris, who was the STARS member from the first game. Like I said, first they make their way into the police station, and then they make their way out. I really like that idea, by the way. When the GameCube remake of Resident Evil 1 came out, myself and a lot of other people were expecting an announcement of Resident Evil 2 remake. And we were disappointed for a very long time. What we ended up getting was just a port of the original game on the GameCube, one that actually goes for a pretty penny these days, but that's just not what a lot of people wanted. A lot of other peoples, like myself, kind of gave up. We never expected to play a brand new Resident Evil 2 game, either a new port, a remaster, or a remake. In similar fashion, in January, but this time in 2019, Resident Evil 2 was released.
Due to the citywide outbreak, you are advised to take shelter at the Raccoon City Police Station. Free food and medical supplies will be provided to everyone in need.
Something's not right.
There's something to tell you, they changed an awful lot in this game. More than I would have expected. Or initially wanted, but I'm kind of glad they did.
I got this.
They used the same engine they used to make Resident Evil 7, so that means, honestly, this is an absolutely beautiful game.
Is anyone here? Jesus.
I first saw this trailer and I was pretty shocked at what we were going to end up getting. I kind of figured this was just going to be something that we saw in trailers and the gameplay wouldn't be as good, but I was wrong.
I'm giving you an order, rookie. You save yourself first.
For those people who are hoping for the tank controls to come back, sadly, not going to happen. The controls are way more like 4, 5, and 6, and I think actually adds quite a bit to the atmosphere of the game in this.
What in God's name?
Camera completely changed. We no longer have the static shots that we had in the original. We have the over-the-shoulder action horror style camera. And someday I may release the video I made on why I absolutely hate the term action horror and the derivative tone around it. Someday. Probably not. There is some interesting character changes in this version that I thought were drastically needed in order to make these characters more relatable. In this case, Annette Birkin isn't a complete heartless woman. She actually shows she cares for her daughter a little bit in this, which you couldn't tell in the original game. Characters like Marvin and Chief Irons were given back these larger roles that they had in the prototype, which was great because we didn't get to see Marvin for more than one conversation in the original, and Irons was just kind of a short-lived thing. In this, he plays a huge role. I feel like everyone seems to like this one, but Mr. X makes a reappearance in this, and it's not just some B scenario. He's a massive point of the main game, although I would still like to point out that the internet named him Mr. X. He's actually just a tyrant. It's T-00. I just want to point that out. It drives me nuts. I do really enjoy this game. I'm really happy they made it, but it drastically changes a lot in the storyline of Resident Evil. One that kind of concerns me is it drastically changes the motives of Claire in the end of the campaign. We are getting mildly into story spoilers, so just be warned. In the original storyline, Claire's main focus is still to find her brother, not to take down Umbrella as a company. In the remake, that changes. Her next scheduled appearance would have been Code Veronica, but now I kind of question whether that game is ever going to be remade or not. This game gives Capcom a huge excuse to completely remake the games they want to for the franchise and actually throw away all the old ones. This means Resident Evil 2 Remake actually creates a whole new storyline, which is now canon. So at the time I'm recording this, Resident Evil 8 will be out relatively soon. Changes they're making to this game will not affect the newer games at all. By newer, I mean Resident Evil 7 and 8.
Come on, move! Chris? What the hell? Take him away.
This may upset some people, but that might mean that the Chris that we saw in 7 is actually part of the new canon, not the super burly, boulder punching hero that we saw in Resident Evil 5. Because the storylines from Resident Evil 2 and 3 and 7-8 are so drastically different, not just in tone, style, and storyline, they can actually take as much time as they want bridging that gap. We'll have to see what happens.
Mia.
Clearly, Resident Evil 2 has not been forgotten, but I think looking into Resident Evil 1.5 is important, as fans are still trying to rebuild the game from code. I got to play it here on YouTube, and I'm pretty glad I did. As always, thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. We're going to be continuing on with our playthroughs on Sunday. I still stream over on Twitch at twitch.tv/horror_historian. Hope to see you all there. Long days, pleasant nights, and may you have twice the number.